ideas,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So
Yes,
let's
and
talk
yes.
about it.
Yes, and yes, and yes.
And you have an audience here, so just so you're aware.
Hello. Oh,
So you have both.
Good
okay.
morning.
Good morning.
So
Thank you for doing this.
you're talking here.
Okay. Awesome. So I don't even know I don't know what to do with my hands or my eyes now. Do I look out there, back this way? Hi everybody. So I am Tristan, and I do own Brickhouse Mortgage, but I also am a partner in Legacy Builders and Design. We are general contractors, kind of a full package general contractor and builder, but we also do have in-house engineering and architecture, and we do the full permit process and everything. But we specialize in accessory dwelling units, ADUs, also called tiny homes, in-law units, pool houses. They're called by a lot of different things. As my partner mentioned, Ed, due to SB 9, the Senate bill, or excuse me, Assembly Bill 9, they have now incentivized, due to a lack of housing in the state of California, they have incentivized homeowners adding accessory dwelling units or second homes to any property. So because of this, every home in California, residential home and most commercial now, are zoned and approved for an ADU as long as it meets the minimum setback requirements. Used to, when you wanted to build an ADU, you'd have to submit to your city or your county, wait for a big planning approval on whether or not that they would want it in that zoning code. And then you could start your building process, going through building permits and engineering. Now that's expedited. It's basically fully skipped. It's but a technicality now that planning just takes a peek at it. But usually there's zero planning comments. It's only a building. You go through the building process now. Yes, please. Oh, yeah, I wanted to say that. This is my very first time teaching this class, and so I would like to do it the way I normally kind of do things. Open forum. Anybody that has questions on any of the topics or anything we're going on, it's really more about giving you information and you picking my brain and us solving things together than me lecturing you based on the 4 slides I have up. That's more of an I thing. So yes, question.
So one of the biggest questions to get with ADUs, I live in an HOA, and so everyone says, well, will the HOA let me build that ADU? So my understanding of that is that California law supersedes the HOA, but the HOA will still have to like approve the look of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so obviously there are still going to be, you still have local CCNRs and HOAs that would need to approve it, but yes, the state has incentivized, as dictated that they need to allow you to build these. But really, we haven't had any HOAs come in and I want to say balk at anything we're doing, because the state's bill also dictates that the accessory dwelling unit conforms with the neighborhood and with the aesthetic of the main home. For example, I mean, you can get away with it, depending on, but if the first home is stucco, the second house needs to be stucco. Without asking for an exemption of that rule. If the first home is wood siding, we need to keep that look and that aesthetic. So we don't use wood siding anymore. We use a concrete siding, a hardy siding, because it doesn't dry rot. Man, you need to keep the aesthetic, but we haven't had any issues with HOAs. That's a great question. I hadn't thought about that. What was I? Oh, anyway, so as long as it has the minimum setback requirements, which they've also reduced from 5 foot from the property line to 4 feet and 8 feet from any existing structures, which there are ways around that as well. Those are the new setback requirements are 4 feet from the property line and 8 feet from any existing permitted structures, like the main home or like a separate garage that was permitted and is permanent. You would need to be 8 feet from that. Another option is to attach it to that. So if like you don't have enough room, you don't have the 8 feet, touch it in the corner. As long as the corner makes contact. I have an example of that. Anyway, oh, there's also some printouts. These are just examples of some of the floor plans we're doing. This is a good one. Life, would you pass these out to people in here? This is- Oh, never mind. Hey, Life, would you hand these out to the people in here? Since you're already up and rolling?
Hopefully, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
There is a question in the chat.
Yes, question. Is that on, are they on mute or how do they talk to me?
They're on mute.
So they're on mute, they can unmute themselves, but this is Rebecca's question.
So that's gonna be a case, so the question is, I have a client who has a house on 5 acres, but his house is zoned manufactured. Is the house a manufactured home?
I believe so, just based on the foundation, yeah.
But it's on a permanent foundation?
No, it's not, well, it's on a, like, the little stilts that are underneath it. And he's
Okay,
just
but if it's
redid
on a permanent foundation, it should be fine. Counties have some different rules as far as like requirements, like they may require a soil report. But the house has to be permanent. So that can either mean it is a permanent residential structure or it's a manufactured home on a permanent foundation, which is also something that they could do to then move them along to the next. But when you get into like manufactured homes, you do skirt some of the rules because technically it's not a residential zoning. It's happening though. People are doing it with manufactured homes. We're doing one right now that's a manufactured home, but it's on a permanent foundation. And then you fit into everything else. So we would have to look at that case by case. So yeah, 4 foot from the property line, 8 feet from the structure. You can't touch it. What is an accessory dwelling unit? So there's 2 different types of ADUs. There's many types, but there's a junior ADU and a detached ADU, an ADU. So usually people would go with like an attached ADU, a detached ADU, which can be 50% of the home's main square footage. So if the house is 2,000 square feet, we do 1,000 square feet ADU is the biggest you can do as a detached unit. If you need more living space, the third option is to then add a junior ADU, which every city and county is a little bit different. But typically 500 square feet is kind of the max on a junior ADU. That can be something or attaching it to the side of the house or a corner of the house, as long as it's touching the structure, junior ADU. Let's see. With the state incentives, the other thing that they're offering is expedited. So they're waiving the impact fees. So not only have they made every house zone for it, they're waiving the impact fees, which typically is $25,000, $30,000 in some municipalities in impacts. So you just pay your traditional permit fee, and in some neighborhoods and cases, you pay a school education impact fee for me, so that's the one that kind of like a one-time Melrose kind of deal, but it's one time because you are technically impacting the schools. Because they might. Oh, you're fine.
There we go. I was like,
Yeah.
the button was working, sorry.
So question?
I have a question on, I had a friend that was having issue. Power requirements, so they had 100 amp runs to the house, they needed
200.
250 or
Yeah, whatever the city requires, but so part of what we do every time we build an ADU. So I'm going to talk about a lot of general ADU stuff, and then I can also discuss specifically our company and how we handle certain things. So it's kind of a 2-part thing, and it is a full conversation. So ask away. So every time we go to a house, we take a picture of the sub panel. That's one of the first things we do. And so I'm going to talk specifically about legacy. If the panel needs to be upgraded as part of this, and sometimes we know right off the bat, you just don't have enough space or you don't have enough juice, we're going to need to update this panel. So we do it at our cost. It's not something that we're going to hammer you for we're trying to get you to buy an ADU from us, but we're also going to come and do some big electrical upgrade and charge you for that. So we will upgrade that as part of this process, and it just kind of all wraps into the contract. Sometimes we feel like you have enough power, and the city goes, no, we have a blanket rule, like you need at least this much now. And so what we can do, so there's a couple options with power. you can tie the new unit off of the power of the main home. And that's the fastest, simplest way to do it. You can also, which I think is the best way, is have PG&E install a separate meter. And the second home, the ADU can run off of its own meter and have its own power and have its own bill so that your tenant pays their own bill and you're not absorbing those costs. Because everybody's, if you've had a tenant before that you pay their electric bill, it's not that they don't care. Sometimes they don't care. Sometimes they, they'll leave at night, heaters on and the windows are open. Because they like a fresh, they want it warm, but they want it cool, they want fresh air.
Are they requiring solar?
We are adding solar to every single,
But are they?
it's typically required, yeah. Any new
How long-
structures.
How long is it taking for you guys to get PG&E out there for meters?
We are. We're everything in house. I'm sorry, go ahead. It's not, that's not 100%, by the way.
How
Some
long
are
are you,
requiring it, some are not, but new structures and new permits. If there's already solar on the main, you don't have to do it, but we do it. Go ahead.
how long is it taking for you guys to get PG&E meters out there? Like, you guys have.
Okay.
Time?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's different in every case. And so I'll finish touching on that. It could take 3-6 months. I mean, we're quoting people, hey, it might take a year. We don't know. Right now it's taking about I think the last one we did, it took about 90 days. So we ordered the separate meter right at the beginning. And what we tell everybody is we are going to run this like we're going to power it off the main. Go ahead and let's get the application into PG&E. Let's do all that other stuff. And if it takes 6 months, we will come back. I mean, and we will do all the work to connect to PG&E, and we don't charge extra for that. Like that's one of the things that, because so it might take 60 days. It might be done by the time the ADU is built. It might be ready, and we'll just wire up. We'll be out there. We'll meet PG&E, and we'll meet the requirements and connect PG&E directly. If not, and it takes 6 or 8 or 9 months, which sometimes PG&E is behind, and it can take that much time, we'll come back when it's time. We'll run it off the main home, and then we'll come back later and make the connections with PG&E for the separate meter. But the answer right now is like 90 days, but they're quoting 6 months. But the last one took us 90 days. Then we upgrade it.
Okay, while we're waiting for PG&E.
Yeah, we just upgrade. We upgraded, yeah.
So a lot of the new build communities are going to electric stoves with zero gas line being ran to the property. If you have somebody who wants to put an ADU in and they want to put a gas stove in that ADU unit, are you guys still able to do that? Because it sounds like the laws and zonings are changing.
Yeah, they're making it difficult. I hesitate to commit to something like that. We are about 50-50 right now on the ADUs being all electric or gas. If there's gas in the main home, we run gas. If it's all electric, we design it all electric. We have not had anybody that has a fully electric home and wants a gas. The options there would be propane. I don't think there's an option. I mean, maybe you could apply with PG&E and have that done, but it'd be pretty difficult. There's always a propane option. We can install a tank in the back or do something. I think natural gas would probably be out. I'm gonna just 90% sure.
Well, I was just curious,
Probably
but
not.
like, if you have someone who buys a new build and they don't even have gas lines ran in that community.
Yeah, then you can't do it. Yeah, that's then that wouldn't be an option. And LPG would be your only option, and we'd have to look to make sure that they would allow it. We would have to submit to the building and planning and say, hey, are you going to let us do this? And then they would dictate that. A lot of things are leaning towards everything's being fully electric now. But I prefer gas. Anybody that cooks prefers gas.
I mean, you already have solar and and stuff like that. Why
Yeah,
would you?
and typically,
And it's a rental or like.
Yeah, and
it's not
usually-
you cooking in that kitchen.
so I hate to say you're wrong, but you're wrong. No, I say no. A large percent. Some of the percentages we're seeing are different scenarios. I mean, we're seeing retired couples build these, moving into the ADU, renting out their main home, and traveling. And they're not home very much right now, so they're going to travel this year. So they have a place for their stuff. They have a place to visit. It's home base, but they rent out the main home. We have people renting them, just doing it for their family, and their family's growing, and their teenage kids are moving to the ADU, or their college age kids are moving in, or they're coming back and moving into the ADU. Young couples with a baby that are saving up to buy their own home. are living, lots of in-laws, and, if you've ever lived with your in-laws, having a separate home is a nice option for that. Like you're there, you're close enough to babysit, but walking distance, but you're not in the house. So we're seeing all kinds of different options. And then I would say 90%, no, not 90, 65% is people getting into their either first investment or just adding as many doors as they can and just wanting more investments. And this has become probably the most affordable, the lowest barrier of entry to get into investment properties and start to acquire rental income and get passive income. Oh, so with the permits and stuff, the biggest thing that the state's doing right now, I think, is waiving those impact fees and then expediting that permit process. It used to take 6 months to get a permit. Now they are required by state law, and cities love when you put time limits on them. They're required to respond within 30 days with your first set of plan check comments or just approve it. So, and if they have a set of plan check, I'll say, hey, if they have questions, they can do that. But it's genuinely, but they have expedited the permit process greatly and made it much more affordable. I don't know how long they'll do that, but right now they absolutely are. Yeah, and it saves, like I said, up to $30,000 on this of the soft cost process. Cover junior ADUs. So, it has to be your primary. Technically, has to be your primary residence to have both a junior ADU and a detached ADU. So what we have people doing is buying a house. I live in it, I don't know where they sleep, but doing an ADU, doing a junior ADU, then moving on, using the income, renting that out, having 3 incomes from one property, and then using that to help them qualify for their either permanent home in one case, or they want to stay on the train for a while and buy another house, do the same thing. Corner lots are perfect for it because they have side access to the property in some areas. In some cases, you can turn the ADU sideways and then put a driveway in on that side yard, fence off the center, and it looks like a completely separate home. You have no idea that's the same APN as the front home. Any questions, please?
One of the guidelines was also it needs, if you're going to be renting it out, there needs to be parking for the tenant.
Yeah, so part of the either way, when you design the ADU, there has to be a parking space. It's just like adding on to your house and adding a bunch of bedrooms or getting anything approved for living. There has to be a place for people that may reside to park. And we have not had any issues with finding a place to park or extending the driveway a few feet or adding separate parking. Or most driveways are big enough technically for 4 cars, two in the driveway, 2 in the garage, and that's more than enough to add a unit to that. Commercial, if you had an ADU to a commercial property, depending, like in the downtown core, it's a non-issue really typically because there's waivers for residential and high density or multifamily or commercial mixed use zones. Did I cover what? Oh, read this.
Oh, there's the parking. No.
Yeah.
Like, I was not getting out, so that's why I was like.
Yeah.
because I don't want to change this.
No. I'll just blast through it really quick to make sure I cover all the details. So ADUs are an affordable type of home to construct in California because they do not require paying for land, major new infrastructure, structural parking, or elevators. Cost effective. They are built with cost effective wood frame construction, which is significantly less costly than homes in new multifamily infill buildings. That's mostly for investors. When as an investor, you're looking for the cheapest way to add doors and you're looking at cost per unit. And so this is the cheapest way to add doors to your portfolio. Rental income, they can provide a source of rental income for homeowners, a guest house, shed, working area, game room, multi-generational. This is the one that we just touched on. 1 and 2 bedroom units, and this is what I just said. 1 and 2 bedroom units are perfect for parents, grandparents, and children after college, and even small families saving to buy their own home. We also see a lot of studios. A lot of people are adding studios that they use as an extension of their personal living space, a TV room, a pool house, but it also has a bed or a Murphy bed that can come down for guests. And guests kind of have their own private space, their own kitchen, their own place to make coffee in the morning. They're not walking in at 6:30 in the morning looking for a pot of coffee. After a long night or after an evening, after a party. Oh, so financing. Financing is probably the most difficult part currently, because laws change, culture changes, lifestyle things change, and then banking change follows up, which is a dinosaur. There are several banks that we are working with now, that credit unions and local banks that are offering ADU financing specifically. And they will basically loan you money based on future value. We determine, okay, what are we building? How much is it going to add to the home's value? And then they'll allow you to loan off of that, borrow off of that amount. Yes,
How much does it add your?
that is a really scary answer, but we are seeing more than the cost of build. We have not seen in any case yet. We have just. We have yet to see any house where we've built an ADU and the home's value has not gone up as much or more than the ADU that we built.
So let's say you were gonna list a property like that, or someone was gonna build it and then sell their property, how would you evaluate that as a realtor? I mean, do you look at it like?
I would look at it, personally, I would look at it as living space based on what the dollar per square foot is selling for in the area. Or, there's several ways you could run it, just like any appraisal. You could do a cost approach method, a cost to reconstruct method, you can do the income approach method, depends on the type of property you're selling. But I would also look at comps. What other houses have sold that have separate units and what is the increase? But I would look at it on a square footage basis. It is livable square footage and then divide that by whatever real estate sells for dollars per square foot in that area. Oh yeah. Oh, so with financing. So another thing we're doing, so that would be HELOC. A lot of people are just doing HELOCs out of their current home if they have enough equity already built in. Some people, very few, are just paying cash and then refinancing the money back out or doing a HELOC afterwards because it's less intrusive and it's just a simpler thing. Some people are doing hard money loans, and we do have access to hard money that we can front. In our specific case, as long as you have a financing option lined up after the fact, like we know and it's secure, you'll be able to pay this off, but they don't want to fund it until it's actually been built and a final has been gained. We will carry the cost in-house with a down payment. But we have multiple sources, and every scenario is different for financing, but we have quite a few different sources for that. And not all through Brickhouse Mortgage. I mean, quite a few that we're working with outside banks and, and private lenders and hard money lenders. And there's, and like I said, and then we will also are willing to float the cost of it as long as we know we're going to get paid back when it's built. We will finance that. And that's an option we're doing for several people that do have equity or will have enough equity in the home. We finance the construction. They do not have to have a payment until it's over 45 days after the home is fully built. And typically, so far in every single case, if they want our help or just if they do it on their own, and a tenant has been lined up for the property before it's built. So far, we have not had a property sit vacant without a tenant in it, if they were looking for a tenant. Yeah.
To know how much does it cost to add a separate meter?
So that's a PG&E question. I would say in the realm of 7,000 to 10,000. That's paid directly to PG&E. They do offer credits in some areas and in some cases, so like maybe 3,000 back, but 7,000 to 10,000 would be my guess. But it's I would say well worth it if they're covering their own PG&E bill and it saves on adds simplicity to that process. Yeah. Oh, and then one of the cool things about this HELOC product is that they let you borrow up to 125% of the home's current value because they're assuming that we're adding a bunch of value to it, that it's interest only for the first 2 years, which makes the payment really cheap. And And then also, they will use projected income because that helps with DTI. Because now you also run into DTI issues. They'll use projected income from the ADU to help you qualify for the loan, which is like a really cool new thing. Currently, there's only a few, but I've talked to many banks. I've actually been asked to come and sit in front of boards and have discussions with banking boards as they develop their loan products. So I would say within the next 6 or 12 months, there's going to be loans readily available, both retail and wholesale, as options for ADU construction loans. In the case of commercial, like for Todd here, he's adding ADUs to a commercial property, and we were able to line up financing through a commercial product that will only be temporary and then wrap it up and do another loan. So there's so many different ways to get it done. What do we got? Is there any more?
Yeah. The same just does not.
I'm sure there's 10 things I wish I would have said. I forgot to say. That's what I'm hoping. Oh, here's some examples of some floor plans that we're working on. We've got, so here again, I'm going to talk about legacy, not just ADUs in general. In general, everybody is trying to design these under 750 square feet in order to meet the guidelines to get those impact fees waived. It just would not make sense to design an ADU at 760 square feet. For that 10 square feet, you're adding $30,000 to your cost. So we're designing under 750 square feet, 749 square feet, and we're doing it as efficiently as possible. But here's 6 of our, currently I think have 30 to 35 designs. Again, I'm specifically talking about legacy, is we design in-house and we can design, customize. You can take one of these and modify it, or we can design something completely custom for you in-house. And then let's talk about the process. So again, the thing that we're trying to do differently than most general contractors and other ADU builders is we bring it all in-house, which makes it much less overwhelming, much simple. We don't send you, hey, go pick an architect and design it, bring it back to us, and we'll price it for you. We sit with you, we design, we talk about your goals. We have a lot of ideas. Hey, you could do that. That would be really cool, but that's not the most cost-effective way to do it. Why don't we meet your goals by doing this, this, and this? You'll still, you're still going to meet your goal, but you just saved yourself a whole bunch of money and a lot less complication, or a lot of complications. So, and then we have it engineered. We personally submit for permits for you, and we go through that process. And so we just check in with you. Hey, yeah, we just got an update. This is what we're working on. So there's no stress. And then we construct it for you and hand you the keys. So really, you're signing on the dotted line, and then we're handing you keys in a few months. Yes.
Leticia said, I don't know if I missed it, but how much would it cost to add an AD?
Okay, so that is a very specific question to your scenario. I'm going to give you some generalizations. A garage conversion, a 2-car garage to convert that would be starting at about $67,000 to convert if you already had a structure built like that. Up to, the sky's the limit, but I would say here an average for all the soft costs, all the designing, the engineering, which we have to, all the permits, all the site work, and to fully construct and build for, let's say, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, right up to the max, 749 square feet, under 200,000. Completely built, delivered, designed, engineered, everything. So I think that's about $266 a square foot, which is far below the average cost of construction right now.
Did you say 200,000?
200,000, yeah, 200,000 for now. If you went to a 600 square foot, 1 bed, 1 bath, which because that opens it with a little bit larger living room. Now if you take that same number, you're around 160,000. Anything below 600 square feet, the cost to build goes up per square foot because you're losing the economies of scale. It's cheaper to build larger because the cost to mobilize is the larger the impact. Then 750 is not the max. We did a 1,200 square foot ADU actually, we have somebody that we built a stunning, beautiful ADU that looks like a mansion. It's a 3,000 square foot footprint. it's currently sharing an APN with a larger house. And so it maxed it out at, and it's a 2,500 square foot house. So the largest ADU we could build was 1,250 square feet, but they're planning on subdividing the two lots and that becoming a primary of its own. And so we designed it technically with 1,250 square feet of living space, 1,000 square foot garage, and a 800 square foot covered California room with the roof design, so that once the APN has been divided and it's two separate APNs, we can build into the garage 2 more bedrooms. We can expand out into that California room, which becomes now an interior room. So we're designing it in such a way that to do a conversion down the road, an easy conversion. Pretty cool. And then, another thing to touch on, so Assembly Bill 1033, they've now made it to where not only can every house build an ADU, but every house can build an ADU and then sell the ADU as a separate residence. Isn't that crazy? So, you can now build a separate ADU on your lot, and then you can either move into the ADU and sell your main home and retain the ownership of the ADU itself, or vice versa. You can build an ADU and then you can sell the ADU. The process, you have to apply and create a HOA, and you convert it to what's called a condo. Like you've never heard of a condo. Condominium. Yeah. It's complicated, but try to stick with me here. So you convert the property into a condominium. You become an HOA manager, and you can sell let's think about it. Like, you're selling the house, you're selling the structure, just the ADUs, selling the structure. The land around it becomes shared space, like any condominium. But if you can build a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, I have not executed this yet. I've thought about it. I may do it just as an experiment. But if you can build a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 750 square foot ADU with a front and backyard, private front yard, what would that sell for? Like, even if it was just a condo, we're selling condos here in town for what, $300,000 to $400,000. This one is a private condo with no neighbors and a front yard and a backyard, and so I can imagine that selling for at least the same price, let's say 350 to 400,000. So if you have the land, the room, then you can build this for 200,000 and sell it for 400,000 and make now, is that $200,000 in profit worth the fact that you now gave up a piece of your property? You now have to manage an HOA, which means you have to file a document every year. I guess that's personal, but it's pretty cool that they've made that an option. And it's what they're trying to do is lower the barrier to entry to starter homes. If you can't afford to buy a single family house, but you can afford to buy a condo, but you don't want to, this is just another option for young families or college kids. It's pretty neat. I think you'll start seeing that pretty soon because they just made this change recently. Yeah. While I think if there's any other questions or anyone thinks of anything, we just completed one yesterday. We got the final on a house, on a beautiful ADU in downtown Dixon. I brought everybody. I'm going to show you guys, and we'll send you links. But we were having an open house, we're going to email it to everybody. Thank you, Jessica. We're going to have an open house in Dixon from 2:30 to 5:30 on Friday. Come through, walk through, bring your clients, invite anybody you like. We're going to have some music and some food and probably some drinks, but it'll just be open for people to come by and see and ask us questions and specifics and kind of see what's possible. This one we did on, it is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We did it on a corner lot, and we were able to have it assigned. It has its own PG&E. We were able to assign it. It does have gas and electric with the independent. We faced it towards the adjacent street, filed for a change of address form with the city. It now has its own address. So technically the ADU's address is on West B Street. It doesn't show up in MapQuest yet because it's only had an address for a week. So I put in the main home's address. But you cannot tell that it is connected in any way to that front house. It has its own driveway. It has its own front yard. It has its own mailbox. It has its own address. It has its own backyard. It's fully independent. $200,000. So if you have the right lot layout for it, it's brilliant. That would be the one to sell. You'd probably sell that for $500,000 for as a single family home. But
Tristan, I have
any
a
other
question.
questions, please? Yes.
About approximately how much does it cost to have a separate meter for the ADU?
Oh, so we're estimating 7,000 to 10,000. It's different in every case. That's specifically goes to PG&E. We don't charge that. So it's whatever PG&E charges you for that area or whatever that. But we do not charge extra to connect to PG&E or to connect to the main house's power. And we will actually connect to the main home's power. And then if we need to come back in 6 months and connect to PG&E, we will also do that, and that's all. You're basically just waiting for PG&E to approve your application and be ready to come out with the new meter and install the new meter. We will make all the connections and come meet them.
Gotcha.
And
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm sure there's lots of good stuff I'm missing, but like I said, if you have any questions later and think of questions, please send them to us. This is the first class, workshop we've done. I'm hoping to do them a lot. If you have clients and you want to co-host one of these, happy to do it anytime. You can we'll co-brand stuff and send it out, and you want to promote it. And I'm happy to sit down and talk to people or do these whenever we want. And hopefully they'll improve over time as we get lots of good questions that we want to answer in the future in the workshop.
How much did you guys say some of these floor plans range from? I missed that part too.
So for a garage conversion, you're looking at about 67,000. I would say for the up to 199,000, and that is soft and hard costs. That is design, permits, engineering, construction. So I would say between 67 and 200,000. Now we have people that are taking those and adding a lot of upgrades. Now these are standard finishes. They are nice. It's what I put in all of my rentals in my apartments, and they're really nice LVP floors, quartz countertops, shaker cabinets, modern, contemporary. Oh, every one of these are designed with 9-foot ceilings, recessed lighting, split unit ACs in every single room. So you have a lot of control over temperatures and the environments. Plus it's much more efficient that way. But even like our standard finishes are very, very nice. There's really not much to upgrade, but some people want crown molding. Okay, we can add crown molding. It's not a problem. We've had people want like really fancy front doors. Okay, no problem. Just pay. The labor is included. We'll install whatever you like. If you want to upgrade certain things, we had somebody that wanted a marble shower install. Okay, no problem. We did it. They're nice for standard finishes. They are very nice. But we were happy to do whatever. We wanted somebody that they live in a really nice little craftsman neighborhood, and we had to order custom windows, vertical slides. They wanted big craftsman moldings around everything. No problem. It's easy. Yes.
So, this is like a specific instance. Yeah. We have a corner lot with a duplex on it, and there is a fire hydrant on the corner. Does that count as like an existing structure, or what does that fall under? Because
that's a utility.
Is there like a certain distance?
There probably is, and it probably does. It probably is that 8-foot thing. Those can be moved. If you're filing for permits and stuff, there are that could possibly be moved. We could request that. But that's a good one. I haven't had to avoid a fire hydrant yet. But I would say that's something we would work out with the city, and so it's doable. Everything's doable. You could think we could potentially, if we're having to break it up and we're adding a driveway and we're breaking up like sidewalk concrete anyway and adding in the curb cut, we could easily slide that 10 feet this way or that way along the water line. So it shouldn't be a huge deal. Anybody else? Other options, for example, Todd asked us to build 2 of these. So we're actually stacking them on top of each other, which just means we have to do the foundations different. We have to reinforce things different. Does not quite fit the ADU typical ADU guidelines, but we do build 1, 2, 3, and 4 units, ADUs, because like I said, the idea is to add doors. Most of our clients are either multi-generational and they want housing, or they're investors and they're just trying to add as many rentals as affordably as possible. It's more affordable to build a duplex than it is an ADU. So that's also an option. You do lose, except in very specific circumstances, you do lose that incentive as far as the impact fees, impact fees being waived. Now you're kind of at the mercy of the city and the way they structure their impacts, which is like multifamily. They want 7,000 for this and 6,000 for this, but you also are getting a discount on the construction for the second unit, so it all evens out.
But duplex versus ADU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're doing a duplex for Todd right around the corner here. And then we have several in Dixon right now under construction. 4 or 5 in Vacaville. Napa, we're starting some. Sacramento, we're starting some. So we're happy to do tours anytime. Set up tours, or if you or clients or anybody want to check them out.
What's the average price that you're building duplexes? Like,
So now it is getting a little bit more specific. Typically you would take the cost to build $1 per square foot, and then there is a discount on the $1 per square foot where we have to look at the design and how we have to re-engineer the foundations, roof. I mean, but it is a discount. If it's 200, let's say it's 200,000 to build a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 750 square feet, to do a 1,500 square foot, 2-bedroom on top, 2-bedroom on bottom, there's probably a 10% discount. You're probably in the 370 range, 375 range to build a duplex rather than, now that's us, that's our cost.
Yeah,
So,
you guys.
so it's, 365, 370, somewhere in that ballpark. Like I said, that's specifically us though. So our company is structured a lot different than most general contractors. They're independent. They go out to the community. They get as many retail subcontractors as possible to help them bid. I need 3 foundation guys. We also have we do concrete in-house, so we have our own concrete company. You get your plumbing, all your plumbers to come out and bid it. You get all your electricians to come out and bid, your rough electrical and your finish electrical. Then you have all your framers. You get 3 or 4 framing companies. We don't do that. We wrap it all up in-house, and that's how we can, we aren't hiring retail subs and then adding a 15 or 20% or 25% general contractor fee and project management fee on top. So we don't do that, which is what's keeping our costs significantly below market rates to build. That means that we have to keep our schedule busy to keep it going, but our payroll is significantly higher. That means our cost to build is significantly lower as long as we are consistently building.
Right.
Just a little insight into the why our company is a little bit different and we can afford to build things significantly less than most companies.
That's good to know if you're dealing with like investors
Mhm.
particularly.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Again, economies of scale.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for us to build a whole lot of projects. And as long as we're building a lot of projects, it's cheaper for our clients to hire us. That's all I've got, really all I prepared. I didn't really prepare, but that's really all I've got I can think of. I think we covered everything. What's the next slide?
Thank you.
Well, hold on, go to it. It's scripted. Thank you. I wish we would have done QR codes, but you can find us on Facebook or Instagram, Legacy Builders and Design. We do have a new website. Trista, that's not a website, but that's my email address. solanoadu.com is our website. It is still under construction as far as the details. It's getting there. It's really nice, but I'm not real happy with the details. So we're still working on that. But yeah, if I could ever answer any questions or you guys want to do another one of these, please let me know. Or do tours. I don't know how to start these things and I don't know how to finish. You just say goodbye. Goodbye.
Well,
Yeah.
good job, okay?
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Yeah.